What's up, Celtics Nation? Take a deep breath, because the vibe behind the scenes at TD Garden is tenser than a Game 7. Things just got real today, and we need to have a serious talk. There's a blockbuster rumor floating around that could completely change the face of our roster before the deadline, and I know a lot of you are going to lose your minds over this. On top of that, the situation in the standings is keeping the fan base up at night. But is it time to panic or stick to pure strategy? You won't believe what we've got today. So sit back, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and let's dive straight into the news. Let's get straight to the point, because Brad Stevens' phone won't stop ringing, and it's all about one name, Anthony Simons. I know, we've barely gotten used to seeing him in Celtics green. The guy has been a scoring machine and saved our skin on plenty of nights. But the reality of the NBA is cruel, and his contract is a ticking time bomb that could go off at any moment. We're talking about $27.7 million on an expiring contract, and that, my friends, is pure gold on the trade market. The big question dividing the fan base today is, do we keep this offensive firepower, or do we use this trade chip to bring in what this roster actually lacks? Speculation is boiling over with proposals involving all 30 teams in the league, but two situations really caught my eye and could completely change our destiny. The first bombshell comes out of Brooklyn. Imagine flipping Simons for Nick Claxton. Oh, but we lose three-point shooting. I know, but look at our paint. With the veterans gone, we desperately need rim protection. This trade would work financially and even save the franchise a few bucks, but the on-court impact would be brutal. We'd gain elite defense, but who creates the shot when the offense stalls? It's a calculated risk. Now, if you prefer experience, Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls is on the table. A straight-up swap. Vucevic would bring that veteran presence we lost over the summer, plus he spaces the floor as a big man. It would be a total philosophy shift, going from a quick guard to a post-up big man. And it doesn't stop there. People are even talking about wild scenarios involving Kyle Kuzma or taking a flyer on Wendell Carter Jr. in Orlando, but that gets way too complex. The core of this strategic discussion is that Brad Stevens has a valuable asset in his hands, and the trade deadline is coming like a runaway train. Simons might be buying in to Joe Mazzulla's system, working hard, but the front office doesn't act with its heart. It acts with a calculator and a clipboard. If the team feels it needs size to survive the playoffs, our number one, or whatever number he's wearing now since everything changed, might have his days numbered in Boston. It's a decision that will define whether we fight for the title or fall by the wayside. But the scariest part is thinking that if we make the wrong choice, we could dismantle the only thing working in our offense while our main stars aren't at 100%. And speaking of stars and how this team is trying to survive the chaos. And while we're freaking out over these trade possibilities, reality is hitting hard, and the standings don't lie. We're 30 days into the regular season, and I have to be honest with you guys. Seeing the Boston Celtics with a 9-8 record, holding on to the 10th seed in the East, is a gut punch for any fan. We are dangerously flirting with irrelevance in the middle of the pack, and that is unacceptable for our history. But hold on, before you go burning jerseys, let's analyze the context, because there's a lot happening behind the scenes that explains this war zone. We knew it would be tough, but maybe we didn't realize the size of the void left by Jason Tatum's absence. Without our number 0 on the floor, the weight has fallen entirely on Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And look, I gotta tip my cap to them. JB is playing with insane grit, and White continues to be that omnipresent guy we love, doing all the heavy lifting. But the NBA doesn't forgive absences. We had a tough summer, lost the leadership of Al Horford, Drew Holiday's IQ was traded away, and Luke Cornett said goodbye too. The roster changed, and the chemistry is still being built in the middle of a firefight. And here is the silver lining. The new pieces are trying to step up. Josh Minott has left his heart on the floor with the defensive tenacity we needed, and Luka Garza, who would have thought, has been useful spacing the floor and fighting for rebounds. Mazzulla is trying to cook a gourmet meal with limited ingredients, keeping us alive in the fight. But the competition in the East is ferocious. We're right there, jammed up with the Sixers, Magic and Bulls, all just one slip-up away. The difference between the 4th seed and us is only 2 games, which shows just how balanced, or mediocre, the conference is right now. The real problem is when we look at who's ahead of us. Knicks, Hawks, Bucks. They all have their main stars healthy and scoring. We don't. Our margin for error is 0. If we want to escape this dreaded play-in, the team needs to find unlikely victories right now, with or without Tatum. Every game has turned into a must-win. The fan base is anxious, and rightfully so, because if we keep oscillating like this, even Tatum's return might not be enough to save home court advantage in the playoffs. And it's exactly this instability that makes me question everything the front office planned for this season. We are at a dangerous crossroads. Nation. On one side, the real possibility of trading Simons for a center to stop the bleeding on defense. On the other, we see a 9-8 team fighting desperately to survive in the East without Tatum, depending on exactly the points Simons provides. It's a complicated chess match. Is messing with the roster chemistry now suicide or the only possible salvation? Now I want to hear from you. Would trading Simons be a genius move or a massive mistake in the middle of this crisis? Comment down below because I'm reading everything. Smash that like button and subscribe.